Immigrant communities in Florida face unprecedented attacks, raids, laws, and threats to families' safety. But communities are speaking out and working together. Legal experts and advocates recently came together for a powerful immigration town hall. Here is part of the conversation.
What it's like to try to create a life across borders. I know how harmful policies can enter into kitchens, into classrooms, into bedrooms, and into sanctuaries. I understand the value because I live the pain. I have lived and I'm living with the welcome and the wound of being an immigrant person of color, woman in this United States.
I run a clinic, and with our students, I have a co-teacher. We typically have 16 students in our clinic. And our cases are so complicated that we have to staff those cases. For one court case, we have to staff it with an attorney, supervisor, and usually 4 students to represent that one person over the course of, say, an entire semester, just to have a shot at stopping that deportation. So this is very time-intensive work, and it's made much more difficult by the current conditions where many, many people are in detention.
Growing up, I felt like it was always my obligation to give back, and I found that I can give back in this way. And so I've really committed myself to this work as that kind of responsibility. And then I also, I see how current immigration policies affect so many people my age. I have so many friends, one of my closest friends actually, who is actually unable to finish her education at FIU, my school as well, because of current laws increasing tuition for immigrant students and just the danger of really attending school in person right now for someone with her status. And so, you know, I know a lot of people who can't be putting themselves forward, advocating, and so because I have the privilege of being a citizen and being able to do that, I feel like it's my responsibility to do that as well.
I do want to talk about, particularly as a lawyer, the myth that it's easy to tell whether someone is documented or undocumented, such that any old police officer, who now many police officers have the power to enforce civil immigration law under the framework we have now, that it's easy to tell that distinction. And it absolutely is not. And now we have police officers and others who've been trained for very short periods of time, making those life-changing decisions in a split second. And that's a very, very dangerous situation that has resulted in people getting picked up who should never have been picked up.
The vast majority of immigrants, and all immigrants who are undocumented, pretty much do not receive access to any kind of public assistance, in spite of paying the same taxes that each and every one of us do. So really, they're almost an unjustly free source of taxpayer dollars to help support things like Social Security, like housing assistance, like disaster relief after we get struck by a hurricane, right? So not only that, but 1 in 3 entrepreneurs in the state of Florida are immigrants. And half of all of our healthcare workers are immigrants. So not only is it important from a financial perspective, but it's also important in just having things like nurses to take care of our sick when they need to go to the hospital.
Those are some of the misconceptions in churches as well. One that I struggle with all the time is that, oh, it's easy. And so people choose to come here illegally. And so I often point out that, first of all, when your ancestors came here, there was no immigration system. There was no legal or illegal frameworks to think about moving across borders. We ignore the fact that this is a reality. And so it becomes easy in some people's minds, and people are blinded by that, people in the church are blinded by the fact that Ruth the Moabite became the person who was top of line in Jesus's lineage. And so that is often ignored. There is the misconception that people who are immigrants are also not healthy, that they come here and they bring illnesses. We need to be reminded of our social principles. Every human being is of sacred worth. And this is first what we believe. This is first our order of the day. This is first our motion that we practice.